It was a little late this evening, but in time. Parti come al solito tu, vero? Ami?
Penso di sì, non mi ha detto niente Vikrant, quindi...
sarà come al solito, certo. $59.
Namaste and welcome all of you, dear friends and spiritual seekers. I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of the United Consciousness and the European Yoga Federation. We are here this evening to enjoy our 5th session of the Bhagavad Gita, the Life Management. And tonight, I would like to welcome our eminent speakers, our Swami Suryananda Saraswati, Amadio Bianchi from Italy. Namaste and welcome. Amadio Bianchi, Swami Suryananda Ji will introduce to us to the beautiful story of the Mahabharata. After this presentation, we'll have Dr. Vikramjit Singh Tomar. Namaste, Dr. Vikramjit. Thank you for being with us tonight. And he will speak about the art and science of that on the Bhagavad Gita style. And then we will have our half an hour Q&A, question and answer, where anybody of you can type the questions on the chat or express the question directly on live. So welcome all of you then, and we'll start. Swamiji, please, we wait for your wise words. Thank you.
Usually I do a little resume the last session, so you can understand more. Noi eravamo arrivati a un punto in cui i Kaurava avevano deciso di allontanare i Pandu dalla capitale, perlomeno temporaneamente.
So just to resume, last session, we arrived at the point where the Kaurava decided to send apart the Pandava from the city.
Era una cosa politica fatta ad arte, cioè allontanarli, perché forse per essere più liberi nelle loro decisioni.
It was for a political choice so that the Kaurava could set their own decision directly.
Yudhishthira intuì le implicazioni di quelle manovre, ma tenne le sue impressioni e i suoi pensieri per sé.
Yudhishthira understood very well the setting that was behind the choice, but he decided to keep this information inside himself.
Gli offrirono di andare a Varanavata per un po' di tempo e egli vi si recò con i fratelli e anche la regina Kunti.
They decided to send him, Yudhishthira, to Varanavata, and he decided to leave together with his brothers and the Queen Kunti.
Se vi ricordate, per una parte del percorso, non so, notabili come Drona, Bhisma, li avevano accompagnati per un po'.
If you remember last session, we left the notable men, the important men, to follow their path for a little while, and then they set them apart.
Però Vidura li aveva accompagnati sino alla frontiera della capitale e prima di prendere congedo li aveva ammoniti con un linguaggio in codice che vi ripeto.
Vidura instead followed them till the border of the country and left him with a greeting, which was a coded greeting, which I'm going to tell you again.
E queste erano state le sue parole che vi ripeto.
And these are the words that he said that I'm going to tell you about.
Colui che sa comprendere le intenzioni del nemico, disse, non ne sarà mai colpito.
The one who can understand the thoughts, the idea of his enemy, will never be bitten by his own enemy.
Esistono armi affilate che pur non essendo di ferro sono in grado di ucciderci se non stiamo allerta.
There are weapons very sharp that can kill somebody even though they are not made by iron.
Ciò che ha il potere di distruggere il legno e la paglia non potrà mai raggiungere una buca.
Whatever is made out of wooden and straw can never fill the hole.
Lo sciacallo emerge da molti nascondigli sotterranei.
The shackle emerge from many hidden holes.
Il viandante può trovare la giusta direzione affidandosi al corso delle stelle.
The traveler can follow the many paths, following the street, the way of the stars.
E sopravvivere in virtù della sua ponderatezza.
And survive thanks to the evenness of his mind.
Yudhishthira aveva detto, ho capito tutto.
And Yudhishthira said, I understand everything.
Vi ho voluto ripetere questa piccola parte finale della sessione precedente perché poi è importante per la storia che andrà avanti.
I just wanted to say these words from last session, as these words, they will be very important for the rest of the story.
Iniziamo la puntata nuova. La popolazione di Varanavata riservò ai Pandava un'accoglienza entusiasta e li fece partecipare all'euforica festa di Shiva.
And so starting with today's story, the people of Varanavata gave the Pandava a very enthusiastic welcome and made them participate in the euphoric festival of Shiva.
Tra le persone che li avevano accolti con calore c'era un architetto di nome Purochana, che poi era l'agente di Duryodhana.
Among the people who had a warmly welcome to them, there was an architect whose name was Purochana. He was the Duryodhana's agent.
Che aveva progettato, questo architetto aveva progettato la loro lussuosa residenza chiamata la Casa della Gioia.
This architect had designed their luxurious residence, was named the House of Joy.
Appena furono lasciati soli e anche Purochana si allontanò,
As soon as they were left alone and Purochana also worked away,
Yudhishthira prese in disparte Kunti e le disse:
Yudhishthira took Kunti aside and said to her,
il miserabile crede che io non sappia nulla. Era questo il messaggio di Vidura. Se inspiri a fondo col naso senti l'odore dell'olio e della paglia e della resina ammucchiati al di là di queste mura.
The wrecked one believes that I do not know anything. This instead was the message of Vidura. If you inhale deeply with your nose, you feel the smell of oil and straw and resin piled up beyond these walls.
Quell'individuo, riferendosi all'architetto Purochana, abita qui per dissipare i sospetti.
That man, he was referring to the architect Purochana, lives here to dispel the suspicious.
Ma in realtà attende solamente un segnale dal nostro amato cugino Duryodhana per appiccare il fuoco a mezzanotte.
But in reality, he is only waiting for a signal from our beloved cousin Duryodhana in order to set up a fire at midnight.
Dobbiamo stare in guardia, non lasciar trasparire da alcun segno che sappiamo tutto, conclusi.
We must remain very in alert in order not to let any sign to show that we know everything, he concluded.
Come previsto, dopo pochi giorni si presentò un pacifico visitatore inviato da Vidura.
As expected, after a few days, a very peaceful visitor was sent from Vidura.
L'uomo si fece riconoscere citando una parte del messaggio che Vidura aveva pronunciato prima di accomiatarsi.
And the maid made himself to be recognized by quoting a part of the message that Vidura had pronounced just before taking a leave.
Lo sciacallo emerge da molti nascondigli.
The shackle emerges from many hiding places.
Al che Yudhishthira, riconoscendolo, disse: sì, ho capito.
And so Yudhishthira, recognizing him, said, oh yes, I understand.
Io scavo miniere, disse il visitatore, è il mio mestiere, so come aprire gallerie sotterranee.
I dig mines. That's what the visitor said. It is my job, and I know how to open underground tunnels.
Purochana ha ricevuto l'ordine di attendere la metà buia del mese e di appiccare il fuoco il 14° giorno a mezzanotte mentre voi dormirete.
Purochana has been ordered to wait for the dark night, half of the month, and then to set up a fire on the 14th day at midnight while you are sleeping.
Prima di quella data io però avrò portato a compimento il mio lavoro.
But before that time, I will have completed my work.
Quando la galleria fu pronta, Kunti organizzò una grande festa, ma dopo che gli ospiti se ne furono andati, Yudhishthira disse ai suoi fratelli che se ne dovevano andare anche loro.
When the gallery was ready, Kunti organized a big party. But after the guests had left, Yudhishthira told his brother that should leave too.
Insieme aprirono la botola che dava accesso al passaggio segreto costruito dal minatore. E quando tutti vi furono inoltrati, Bhimasena appiccò il fuoco all'edificio, cominciando proprio dalla stanza in cui dormiva Purocana.
So together they opened the trapdoor that gave access to the secret passage built by the miner. And when everyone entered it, Bhimasena set up the fire to the building, starting right from the room where Purocana was sleeping.
In un battibaleno tutta la casa era in fiamme e quando gli abitanti della città, svegliandosi, si resero conto, i Pandava erano ormai lontani nelle viscere del passaggio segreto.
Right, in a blink, in a moment, the whole house was on fire, and when the inhabitants of the city woke up and realized what was happening, the Pandava were already far away in the heart of the secret passage.
Quando essi tornarono alla luce, una barca li attendeva sulla riva del fiume con le vele spiegate.
When they returned to the light, a boat was already waiting for them on the bank of the river, with the sails already open.
Vidura aveva provveduto ad assoldare il barcaiolo, il quale, vedendoli, ripeté la parola d'ordine: lo sciacallo emerge da molti nascondigli sotterranei.
Vidura had proceeded to hire the boatman, who, seeing them, repeated the watchword. The shackle emerges from many underground hiding places.
Dopodiché li traghettò sani e salvi sulla riva opposta del fiume, permettendo loro di inoltrarsi in un fitto bosco.
After that, he ferried them safe and sound to the opposite bank of the river, allowing them to enter a dense forest.
La notizia della scomparsa dei Pandava periti nell'incendio fu data con certezza, anche perché nella casa della gioia furono rinvenuti i resti carbonizzati di una donna con i suoi 5 figli.
The news of the disappearance of the Pandava who perished in the fire was given very for sure. Also because inside the house of the joy, there were found the remains of a woman with her 5 children.
E l'evento suscitò da un lato tanto cordoglio e dal lato dei loro nemici tanta soddisfazione.
This event aroused on one end so much mourning, and instead on the other side, on the side of their enemy, so much satisfaction.
A Dhritarashtra però ora gli rimordeva la coscienza. Per questo organizzò solenni esequie in onore dei cari scomparsi, ma anche pubbliche manifestazioni di lutto in tutto il territorio del paese.
But Dhritarashtra's conscience was now remorseful, and for this reason he organized very solemn funerals in honor of the deceased loved ones, and also public demonstration of mourning throughout the territory of the country.
I Pandava vagarono nella foresta per alcuni giorni senza meta, disorientati, nutrendosi di cacciagione, di bacche, di radici, fino a quando una sera al tramonto, mentre riposavano sulle rive di un lago, ricevettero la visita di un vegliardo.
The Pandava wandered in the forest for a few days aimlessly disorientated. They were feeding themselves with game, root, berries, until one evening at the sunset, while they were resting on the shores of a lake, they received the visit of an old man.
Era Vyasa, il loro nonno, l'autore del Mahabharata, colui che spero vi ricordiate era nato sull'isola dalla regina Satyavati che si era concessa al rishi Parashara.
That old man was Vyasa, their grandfather. Is the author of the Mahabharata, who, I hope you remember, was born on the island by Queen Satyavati, who had granted himself to the rishi, Parashara.
Parashara, giusto, hai ragione, Parashara aveva promesso a Satyavati che gli avrebbe tolto l'odore di pesce che aveva nel suo corpo, data la sua nascita, sostituendolo con un profumo inebriante.
So Parashara, the rishi, had taken away the smell of a fish by the queen, by replacing it with a very nice smell.
Vyasa indicò ai suoi nipoti un sentiero che portava alla città chiamata Ekachakra, dove egli disse avrebbero potuto starsene tranquilli e nessuno li avrebbe riconosciuti.
Vyasa pointed out to his grandchildren a path that led them to the city called Ekachakra. In this place, he said, they could rest easily and no one would notice them.
Gli consigliò di comportarsi da bramini e vivere in serenità aspettando il momento opportuno.
He advised them to behave just like Brahmins and live very serene, waiting for the right moment to arrive.
Prima o poi le circostanze e i vostri destini muteranno, disse Vyasa.
Sooner or later, the circumstances of your destinies will change, Vyasa said.
Siate pazienti però.
Be patient though.
Vedo nel futuro la vittoria dei vostri principi. Non dubitate, tornerete a risiedere nel vostro palazzo e a governare il paese, a distribuire elemosine e doni ai bisognosi, a celebrare solenni sacrifici.
I see in the future the victory of your principles. Do not doubt. You will return to reside in your place, in your palace, to govern the country, to distribute alms and gifts to the needy, and to celebrate solemn sacrifices.
Una volta giunti a Ekachakra, Vyasa li presentò ad una famiglia molto ospitale che diede loro ricetto.
Once they arrived in Ekachakra, Vyasa introduced them to a very hospitable family who gave them a shelter.
A poco il loro animo si rasserenò. Il ricordo tormentoso della perfidia dei loro cugini, tuttavia, ogni tanto li tormentava.
Little by little, their souls were coming down. But the tormenting memory of the perfidy of their cousins, however, sometimes tormented them.
Vissero perfino di elemosina che regolarmente deponevano tornando a casa ai piedi della madre perché la distribuisse equamente fra di loro.
They even lived on alms. These alms, they regularly led them at the feet of their mother so that she could distribute them equally among them.
Ben presto, tuttavia, i Pandava, temendo di essere riconosciuti, furono costretti a lasciare questa casa ospitale.
Soon, Very soon, however, the Pandava were fearing to be recognized. So this forced them to leave that very warm and hospital house.
Inoltre un viaggiatore li aveva informati che il re del Panchala aveva annunciato lo Svayamvara di sua figlia e che aveva invitato nel suo palazzo ogni potenziale sposo per consentire a sua figlia di fare la sua scelta.
Moreover, a traveler had informed them that the king of Panchala had announced the Swayamvara for his daughter, and that he had invited every potential man to his palace to allow his daughter to make her choice.
Ami, solo per spiegare anche ai nostri ascoltatori, una volta quando il re doveva sposare le sue principesse, organizzava una riunione di pretendenti e certe volte si facevano anche dei duelli, così perché chi vinceva poteva prendersi queste spose.
Just to point out that once the father of a princess, the king, was used to organize even battles, duels, so that the daughter could choose her future husband very carefully.
Il giorno dello Svayamvara, i Pandava usciti al mattino presto si unirono alla folla avviandosi verso il palazzo.
On the day of Swayamvara, the Pandava, they came out very early in the morning and joined the crowd on their way to the palace.
In un grande spiazzo erano state allestite delle gradinate sulle quali poteva disporsi il pubblico, ma anche i pretendenti che si sarebbero contesi la mano della principessa.
In a very large area was set up steps, chairs, where the public could sit and also see the suitors who would have contended the hand of the princess.
La giornata ebbe inizio con le cerimonie celebrate dai sacerdoti regali.
The day began with the ceremonies celebrated by the royal priests.
Allora convenuta, la principessa Draupadi, accompagnata dal fratello Dristadyumna, fece la sua comparsa nell'arena, suscitando il batticuore negli astanti.
At the right time, the Princess Draupadi, she was accompanied by her brother Drishtadyumna, and she made her appearance in the arena that was arousing the heartbeat in the bystanders.
Dristadyumna annunciò che la gara consisteva nel tendere un arco posato su un piedistallo e scagliare 5 frecce verso un bersaglio rotante, prendendo la mira tramite il riflesso in una sottostante bacinella piena di olio.
Dristadyumna announced that the race consisted of launching a bow, resting on the pedestal, and hurling 5 arrows at the rotating target by taking aim through the reflection in an underlined basin full of oil.
I principi presenti furono i primi ad accostarsi all'arco, ma quasi tutti, intuendo la difficoltà della prova, vi rinunciarono.
The princes present were the first to approach the bow, but they almost all sensed the very difficulty of the test.
Alcuni provavano anche a tendere la serpentina d'acciaio dell'arco che formava la corda, ma senza successo.
Some of them even tried to stretch the steel coil that formed the rope, but without success.
L'aria echeggiava di commenti, di scherni, di risate.
The air was full of comments, tons of laughter.
Erano presenti anche i Kaurava che osservavano sprezzanti l'insuccesso dei partecipanti.
The Kauravas were also there present. They also continuously observed the failure of the participants.
E insieme a Duryodhana si notava Karna, grande esperto nell'uso dell'arco e delle armi.
And together with Duryodhana, Karna was noted as a great expert in the use of the bow and weapons.
Quando venne il loro turno, la principessa pregò gli dei affinché fosse risparmiata da loro.
When their time was there, the princess prayed to the gods to be spared by them.
Poi seguì Karna che afferrando l'arco lo maneggiava come un giocattolo.
Then was the turn of Karna, who grabbed the bow and handled it like it was a toy.
Ma quando prese la mira per colpire il bersaglio, la principessa disse: "Non lo accetterò mai, non lo accetterò mai."
But when he took the aim to hit the target, the princess said, "I will never accept him. I will never accept him."
Così Karna lasciò cadere l'arco e fece ritorno con un amaro sorriso al suo seggio.
So Karna had to drop the bow and return with a very bitter smile to his seat.
Ne nacque una discussione. Duryodhana affermava che la principessa non aveva diritto di parlare e che se lui avesse colpito il bersaglio lei sarebbe stata obbligata a seguirlo.
A discussion ensued, and Duryodhana claimed that the princess had no right to speak, and that if he had eaten the target, she would be forced to follow him.
Ma Karna disse: "No, non la voglio", e rinunciò.
But Karna said, "No, I don't want her," and gave up the fight.
In mezzo a quella folla, senza che alcuno lo avesse notato, era presente un uomo che avrebbe svolto un ruolo importante nel Mahabharata, specialmente nella Bhagavad Gita.
In the midst of that crowd, without even anyone noticing him, there was a man who would be playing a very important role in the Mahabharata, and especially in the part of the Bhagavad Gita.
Quest'uomo era Krishna, il re di Dvaraka, l'ottava incarnazione di Vishnu, che si era incarnato nella tribù degli Yadava, assumendo sembianze umane, come egli stesso aveva spiegato.
This man was Krishna, the king of Dvaraka, the 8th incarnation of Vishnu. He had incarnated in the tribe of Yadava, assuming human features as he himself had explained.
E lui stesso aveva spiegato perché si era reincarnato.
So he himself explained why he had been incarnated.
Per tutelare la virtù,
To protect virtue,
per distruggere il male,
to destroy evil,
per stabilire la rettitudine,
to establish a rightness.
per questo nacqui dall'una all'altra età.
That's why I was born from one age to the other.
Quando si leggono queste storie, forse perché ho tanta passione, si fa appena tempo a cominciare, è già finito il tempo.
When we start to talk about this story, as it is really my passion, we start and we don't even realize that it's already the end.
Dico sempre alle persone che mi ascoltano che quando sono dal dentista ogni minuto vale per un'ora.
I always say to everybody, when I go to the dentist, for instance, which is some place I don't like, even 1 minute never ends.
Ma quando facciamo yoga o leggiamo queste splendide storie di questa cultura, allora ogni ora è un minuto.
But when we practice yoga or we read this beautiful and amazing text, we can say that every hour is just like a minute.
Io qui sto facendo un po' il cronista, non faccio commenti perché mi piace raccontarvi la storia, faccio solo il cronista.
I'm just like a teller. I don't want to add my opinion here. I'm just telling you about the story.
Praticamente ho lo stesso ruolo di Samjaya, che era il cronista di Dhritarashtra perché era cieco.
So I'm just like Sanjaya, that he was the teller to the Dhritarashtra as he was blind.
E non è un caso che Sanjaya è stato il primo nome che ho ricevuto nella cultura indiana da un bramino nella comunità indiana di Milano. Mi chiamavo Sanjaya, poi diventando Swami ho cambiato nome ancora.
And it's not probably a chance that my first name, the first name that I was given by a Brahmin in Milan, was Sanjaya. And then I received the title of Swami and then I changed name. But my first name was Sanjaya.
Gli indiani mi chiamavano Samjay.
And I was called Sanjay by the Indians.
Sorry, Dr. Vikramji, that I take some 3-4 minutes more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for following me. Okay, thank you to all. It's a great pleasure for me. Please, Vikram, Dr. Vikram.
Thank you, Swamiji. It is said, when you do something with love, it shows. So it can be seen by looking at your face, your words, how much you love this divine work. You're blessed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to you.
And dear friends, I welcome you in this next topic, Art and Science of Death. Interesting yet strange. Bhagavad Gita does not only teach us art and science of life, it also teaches us art and science of death. Death itself is a big teacher. It teaches us so much. How? Let's demonstrate right now what we can learn from death. So I want all of you who are not driving to close your eyes. If you're not driving, please close your eyes. If you are driving, keep your eyes open. So I want all of you to keep your eyes closed. And with your eyes closed, just imagine that this is the last moment of your life. The last moment of your life. Just focus on this moment. You are not going to see tomorrow morning sun. Tomorrow morning sun will not see you. Your thoughts, your responsibilities, your authority, your philosophy, everything will be history now. This is the last moment of your life. Go deep in this moment. It is the last moment of your life. And think, whom or what are you missing the most? This is the last moment of your life. Whom are you missing the most? What are you missing the most? Think. If I die at this moment, what am I missing the most? Think, think. And now, slowly you can open your eyes to the life once again. And once you open your eyes, write down in the chat box, what were you missing the most at the last moment of your life? Anything. Is it kids? Is it family? Is it something else? Whatever you want to write. This is the last moment of your life. What are you missing the most? How many of you were missing somebody from your family? Okay. How many of you were missing yourself? Perfect. How many of you were missing nothing? Okay. How many of you were missing this life? Fine. Now my next question to all of you is, if this is the last moment of your life, majority of us were missing the family members, may it be parent, kids, or anybody else. Or somebody may be missing themselves, or nothing, or self only. My question to all of you is, now be very honest in replying it. You can digitally also raise your hands. How many of you today, whomsoever are you missing the most in the last moment of your life, how many of you are today giving your 100% to that relationship or to that person whom you will miss the most at the last moment of your life? Raise your hands. How many of us are giving our 100% to the person or relation whom we miss the most at the last moment of our life? Raise your hands. As you could see, none of the hand got raised. My next question to all of you is, in order to give our 100% to that person or a relationship whom we are going to miss the most at the last moment of our life, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Because which moment will be the last moment of life? Nobody knows. And that's why take an oath that whatsoever or whomsoever matters the most in life, I will start giving my 100% today, this moment onwards. It may be self-discovery. It may be a relationship. It may be anything. Think. So death teaches us so many lessons. It is a great teacher if we learn from it. And that's why today we are going to talk about art and science of death, how it works. We are not human beings having spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having human experience. And how in this life we can realize ourselves. This is what death teaches us. So now I'm going to show you something for more clarity's sake. So let's understand, what does birth means? See, we have a deep unconscious desire. It is called vasana. Whatever we do, there is a vasana behind it. Even if you go for purchasing an ice cream, eating an ice cream, there is a vasana, deep desire of appetite. Then it comes to the conscious level. It is called kamana, conscious desire. Fine, if I'm feeling hungry, is deep vasana. Ice cream I should eat is a kamana, conscious desire. Then it's physical manifestation. Then it's physical manifestation. That is called karma. You see the slides I'm showing? Can you see everybody? Perfect. So that is called karma. Everything in this universe, every great thing is born thrice. Every great thing is born thrice. First, at the subconscious level, called vasana. Second, at the conscious desire, called kamana. Third, at the physical manifestation, called karma. Like a seed is vasana, unconscious desire. It sprouts. It is called kamana, conscious desires. And it becomes a plant, is a karma. For example, there is a deep desire in me, deep hidden desire. I should have big house. Then I will make a design of house, drawing of it, blueprint of house. And then I will make a visible house. So everything happens at 3 levels in the world. Everything. There is a desire to meet somebody, to reach somewhere. Then you need an instrument, internal instrument, the GPS map, a design map to reach to that address. But with that internal instrument or GPS map which you have in your mobile phone, you also need an external instrument, a vehicle to reach there. So everything happens in 3 stages. So similarly, our birth also happens in 3 stages. First is called astral birth. Means the moment soul enters the body, astral birth. Second is called psychological birth. Now that baby in the womb registers the experiences of the womb inside. It's called psychological birth. And then after 9 months, we are physically born. So we are born also in 3 stages. When the soul enters the body, when that womb receives, the fetus receives the vibrations from surrounding, and its own past life karmas also starts getting gathered. And finally is physical birth, you're born. This together is called causal body, the cause of your birth. This is what is called causal body. The vasana, the cause. This is what is called subtle body, psyche, antahakarana, the internal instrument, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, as they say, memories, mind, intelligence, self-identity. All this is subtle body, subtle concepts. And this is what you call the physical body. So we are born in 3 stages. This is what you call birth. So when we say birth, it has 3 stages to it. Fine. And that's why we say we have 3 bodies. Now, what is death then? This is death. If I remove the physical body from the subtle body, it is called death. It means I cut the plant, but the stem and the roots are still there. Yes, it means I destroy the house, but still the desire to make a house and the blueprint of house is still there. And I will again create a new house then, isn't it? Even if you cut the plant, if the root is there, it will again fertile. Suddenly, the instrument, the vehicle through which I am going somewhere, got a problem. But still the desire to reach that place is there. Still I have GPS. What I will do? I will take a new vehicle. So the physical birth has a physical death. So what we call death, Lord Krishna says, is when the physical body is removed from causal body and subtle body is called death. It means this instrument dies, but the vasanas remains. And along with vasanas, the conscious desire also remains, the mind, body, the mind, intellect. So what will happen then? I will take a new vehicle. Those seeds will sprout again. I will make a new house. Though I die, but I come back. And this is what you call rebirth. When I come back, again the option is, when I come back, I again come back on the planet. And again I live. So once I am born again, then there are two options. What do I identify with? What do I actually identify with? Do I identify with the soul? Soul means subtle body and causal body together are called soul. I repeat, subtle body, causal body together are called soul. So do I remember my soul plan? Or do I identify with my role? What is my role? I'm a Hindu is my role. I'm a Christian is my role. I'm German, I'm Indian, I'm male, I'm female, I'm a manager, I'm husband, I'm brother, I'm son, are roles. So what do I identify with? If I identify with soul, the whole life will be different. If I identify with soul, the life goal becomes spiritualism. Spirit, let me follow the final destination. My destination will be self-realization. And then I will have a purposeful life. And if I lead a purposeful life, I will have a meaningful death. And if I die meaningfully, I will have a purposeful birth again. Lord Krishna says in Gita, the way you die decides how you will be born again. So how you die is very important. But if I identify with the role, life journey is different. Now, if I identify with the role, then the life is the life of materialism. Let me be a big manager, earn lots of money, have relationship, make houses. It's a deviation from the actual objective of life. It's a purposeless life because everything will be lost here. And then the death in the delusion. You die in that confusion only, that you couldn't do anything as such. And then you are born again in delusion. So it's a choice. Whole life is a choice. What do you pick every moment? Like at this moment, you 22 people chose to be here. It's a choice. So this is called soul plan. This is called soul plan. How will you know what is your soul plan? For that, you need to do karma yoga, we discussed before. Upasana yoga, we discussed before. And jnana yoga, we will discuss. And this is called role plan. Okay, fine. I'm born in a middle class house. Now let me do a good job. Let me have a decent career. Let me get married. Let me make houses. That is the role plan. So whether you will follow the soul plan or role plan will decide how will you live and how will you die finally. If you decide soul plan, then Karma Yoga will give you purity of mind, right attitude, and right action. Upasana Yoga will give you stability of mind, and Jnana Yoga will give you clarity of mind. You'll never be confused in your life. So how will you live will decide how will you die, and how will you die will again decide how will you be born again. So let me tell you, as Lord Krishna says in Gita, how will you live will decide how will you die. Let me tell you about some famous people, what was their dying thoughts. See, Napoleon, he led his whole life, the life of materialism. When he died, the last word of his life was France, the army, the head of the army, Josephine, he died. So you can see so much vigor is there in his last moment also. So much materialistic thoughts. Then let's see Lord Buddha, what he said. When he died, Lord Buddha said, be your own light. He died. Be your own light. So how do you live will reflect how will you die. Roman Emperor Augustus, when he died, what he said, I found Rome of clay. I leave it to you of marble. See, but when Jesus died, what he said, forgive them all. They know not what they are doing. Father, unto thy hands I command my spirit. And Jesus died. So how will you live will have direct reflection on how will you die. So now the next question comes, how to proceed further from here. So let's go to that point again. So now, art of dying. How should you die? Lord Krishna in chapter 8 Gita says that there are 6 steps in which you die and follow them sequentially. First step, when the last moment is coming, withdraw senses from outside. When you know that now much time is not left, then withdraw all your senses from outside. All 5 senses. It is called pratyahara. We discussed it before in the last class. Next is focus your mind inside. Nothing is outside. Withdraw complete focus in self. Fine. Dharana, single pointed. Next, third stage is now fully establish all life force in between your eyebrows here, exactly here. This is called dhyana. Complete your prana, withdraw your prana from every part of the body and bring it here. Lord Krishna very specifically says about it. Bring it here. This is called dhyana. And now chant Om. But don't only chant. Chant it knowing its actual meaning. What is it? Om means absolute reality. Brahman. The truth. The truth is, I am eternal. I was never born, nor I will ever die. I existed. I am existing. I will exist forever. And then remember the absolute reality. In that remembrance, be one with the cosmos, be one with the ultimate reality, and then leave the body. It is called Mahasamadhi. So can you relate it with the last session we had? In last session of meditation, we learned of these things. It means yogic system prepares you every moment of your life for death. Only that person can do this who is such a deep practitioner of yogic practices. If you can practice that deep, you can die that alive. So throughout the life, we should have practice of samadhi so that at the end, we can opt for Mahasamadhi. So Mahasamadhi is death. Death is the teacher. It is the reconciliation. But does it mean that if I don't do karma yoga or upasana yoga or anything else, I don't go for spiritual practices, and if I chant Om at the last moment, I will get Mahasamadhi? No, it can't. Because if we have not practiced it, how can we perform at the most crucial moment? It will be like you never played football and suddenly you are sent in the World Cup football match against France. How will you play there? You don't know how to play. So it's the final match. Death is the final match. So when we die consciously, we take birth consciously. This is what is the Buddhism method, where last Dalai Lama dies consciously by this method only. And then when he is born somewhere else, because he died consciously, he recollects all the knowledge of his past life. And then he declared, I was the same one who was born there. So he recollects everything. So what did we learn today? We learned today the art of dying. What is that? What Bhagavad Gita says? Let's have a quick recap of what we learned today. So we understood today this, that every great thing is born thrice. At deep unconscious level, then conscious desire, and then physical manifestation. Vasana leads to kamna, kamna leads to karma. As vasana we have, similarly, kamna we will have, and the same karma we do. Like seed, sprouting of it, and the plant. Like a vasana of having a house, designing a map of house, and finally visibly seeing a house, making a house visibly. Like desire to reach somewhere, having internal instruments called antah-karana, or the map of it, and finally external instrument, getting it, the vehicle, and going to that. It is called astral birth. The soul touches the matter. The body, in fact. Soul itself is matter. Fine. Body, soul touches the body. Second is psychological birth. Those imprints of past lives you regather. In the womb itself. Even the imprints of present life you gather. And then the physical birth. This is called causal body, the cause of your birth. Cause is vasana, the desires that we couldn't complete. The subtle body, the kamanas, and the physical body. So this is what we call as birth. 3 stages of birth. This is what is death. Death is only when the body is taken away, but still vasanas are there. We'll take a new instrument. The plant will again be sprouted. A new house will be created once again. Every new body will be taken. So nothing is lost. We ever existed. And that's why death is nothing significant. It's a comma, not a full stop in the journey of life. It's just a comma. And what is art of living? Then decide what direction you would like to take. Whether you want to identify with the roles or the soul. If you identify with the soul, you'll have purposeful life and purposeful, meaningful death. But if you identify with the role, you have purposeless life and then birth and delusion. This is called soul plan. This is called life plan. When you say this is called role plan, the problem of many of us is we don't know the soul plan and we are unhappy about the role plan we have. Role plan is limited. Soul plan is the bigger plan. So maybe my role plan is not giving me that happiness. Let's focus on the soul plan. Probably soul plan is taking me there. It wants me to go through all those difficulties so that I can purify my mind, stabilize my mind, and clarify my mind. And then how to die? 6 stages. Withdraw the senses, focus from outside. Focus your mind in inside. Fully establish all life force between the eyebrows. Chant Om, knowing its actual meaning. Remember the absolute reality and leave the body in Mahasamadhi. Only that person can die in that peace who has lived a life of a yogi. So it's over from my side. Any questions are welcome now. This time we tried to do one more experiment with PPTs. Anybody is welcome with any question if anybody has.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. From where are you, Meera?
Yeah, I am from Mumbai, some 80 kilometers from Mumbai, a suburb.
Please tell me.
See, you asked that for whom we are ready to give that 100% at the moment of death. There could be more than one things also, not only one. Okay. And this, it also depends on how we have lived the life till now. That will decide where we are entangled or things like that.
Yes.
So all that, after that, the effect is cumulative of all those things.
Yes.
What happens to, that is what I want to know.
All the desires which, look, what is the difference between liberation and death? Liberation and death, the difference is when the desire remains and the body dies, it is called death. But when the body remains and desire dies, it is called liberation. I have this physical body, but there is no clinging on anything. No desires, no hidden desires, no expressed desires. I act as an instrument to the God. It is called liberation. Have I answered you? Then journey itself becomes the destination. Even if at this moment, this instrument dies, no worries. I create huge buildings, but if the next moment building destroys, no worries. I'm doing it just as an act of God. So that level of understanding, when this person dies, for him, these 6 stages becomes very easy.
So if a person, even during his last moment also, that person can decide or mentally think that now I am not clinging to anything.
It may happen by chance. Rarest of the rarest. It is like this, that as I mentioned before, that you never played football, but at the World Cup final of the football match, you are sent on the ground to perform. How will you? It needs practice, Miraji, because these senses deceive us. It needs continuously reminder of the reality that one fine day, all will be gone. It's just a game. Just a game. So constant reminder is needed. And that reminder is called practice. Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. As I mentioned, the last dying thoughts of Napoleon and Buddha, could you see the difference? How whatever you live remains in your mind when you die. So it, rarest of the rare, it happens.
That means it can be play of your thoughts only. We need not be doing physical rituals and things like that. If mentally somebody is detached or prepared,
Physical rituals for a jnani makes no difference.
rituals are not necessary at all. Thank you.
When you say rituals are not necessary, let me explain in that. But when an ordinary person dies, fine, then it becomes very difficult for the ordinary person to understand that the soul is out of the body. For ordinary person, it is needed that you perform those rituals.
That is like creating atmosphere.
Yes, for the soul also departing.
Yeah.
Another thing, but for a jnani, when a realized person leaves the body, and that's why it is said that nobody should cry. He is gone in Mahasamadhi. He was already preparing for it. Is it true to say that a person who leaves his body unwillingly, like an accident or is murdered, then his soul is in the stage of either anger, revenge, or confusion? Will the person have a seed of enlightenment to not choose a role rather than a new life of purification? When even accidentally, if somebody killed somebody, soul, when it goes to the astral plane, leaving the body, has deep imprints of the pain it has gone through. But surprisingly, no revenge against the person who has given that pain. That's interesting. I repeat, the moment soul goes up, it has deep imprints of the pain it has gone through, but it has no revenge for the person who has given the pain. Reason? The reason is, when you are soul, roles are gone. So when there are no roles, the movie is gone. So now you don't recognize that person even, doesn't matter. He was playing his role, I was playing my role. It is just like a movie, two actors fought against each other, one killed another. But after the film is shot, both of the actors are sitting together having tea. So my answer to it is, yes, soul imprints will be there. If anybody was killed by choking the throat, next birth, those imprints can be there in that person. He may have difficulty in expressing what he or she feels like. She may feel that I can't express myself. So those imprints may be there, but no revenge attitude towards that person because the roles are over. Hope that answers. But again, this life plan, every significant incident of this life is for purification. Even if I'm killing somebody, it is for purification, for me to have to realize later that what the hell I was doing in my life. And that bad act will change me forever in the long run. So every act which I am doing is taking me very in micro steps towards the final destination. But generally, I waste lots of time engaging in the role plan rather than the soul plan. Hope that answers. Can you please explain more about what do you mean by focus between the eyebrows? I actually mean by that here, where ladies put bindi, where male put tilak here. Here is Agya Chakra. Here is that gland. When it gets activated, you see beyond visible. Your perspective becomes bright. In medical science, this part of brain is called VMPFC, ventromedial prefrontal cortex. And actually, this is the brain that got developed later. This is the brain which made us human. Otherwise, we were monkeys. So, VMPFC is a modern brain. If the focus is here, you will be more stable. Whenever you are angry and your brain is scanned, you will find less sensitivity here. But whenever you are peaceful and if your brain is scanned, you'll find more sensitivity here. So the purpose is to bring extreme stillness. And that will happen only by focusing your attention here. Whole prana here. Hope that answers. How do we focus there? So Annapurna ji, that practice is called Upasana Yoga, meditation, practice. But I can't do meditation if my actions are not correct. So for that, because if my actions are wrong, it will have impact on my thought process also. I'm cheating others. I'm hurting others. I'm killing others. So when I meditate, those things will come to my mind. And that's why karma yoga is needed. That's why yama is needed. Niyamas are needed. So they gives you purity of mind and then develop stability of mind. And then in next class, we'll talk about jnana yoga, clarity of mind together. Then we can focus here because last moment is extreme last moment. Only a practitioner can do that. Hope that answers. Any other question? Yes, Adrian.
Namaste.
Swamiji, anytime you can also jump in if you have thoughts for you to answer any point. Yes. Yes, Adrian. Namaste.
Namaste, Dr. Vikranji and to everyone present. I apologize in advance if this is a contentious or controversial question, but I was wondering if this can explain this school of thinking, if it can explain the high prevalence of homosexuality and identity confusion in the age we live in, because I had an inkling that this could be part of it. I just wanted to confirm if it's true.
Very good question, Adrian. Look, homosexuality or such points is like this, that I do not have clarity in my gender roles. Fine. We have spent lifetimes before as male and as female also. Fine. But maybe in this lifetime, we may have to learn a very important lesson about seeing a different perspective of life. Probably, generally, when you are less sensitive, like for example, you are a male, Adrian, and you feel that female have less intellect. You feel that female cannot be great leaders. Be prepared to be born as a female in the next birth. Why? As I told you, law of karma is a development plan. It's no punishment. So what can be the better way? Being born as a female and to realize that they have equal brains as male. Now this realization will be very firm. Fine. But if you are confused about things, you may be brought in that point also. See life from that perspective also. There is no punishment as such. There are many flowers which have both genders in it, and they don't need anything to cultivate and to blossom. They blossom themselves. So these genders are just roles. There is no homosexuality in soul. There is no spirit, rather. There is no sex of a spirit. So this is the sex of the body. The gender belongs to the body. Spirit is straight. Fine. So it carries no difference at the spiritual plane. But yes, it may be needed for your grooming. Have I answered you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I tell something?
Sure, Swamiji, carry on.
Christine, can you help me?
Yes.
Vediamo, ci provo.
Perché spiega che Amelia aveva un impegno importante e proviamo io e te a dire una cosa importante.
Amelia had something to do, she had to leave, so I tried to translate him. Okay, we see how it works out.
È molto intanto gli diciamo a Dr. Vikramji che ha detto delle cose bene, proprio messe proprio bene.
He wants to say something to you, Dr. Vikramji, even though you have explained everything very to the point.
Quanto però per capire queste cose è molto importante questa purificazione degli strumenti che la natura ci ha messo a disposizione.
Da già inizia, vedi? Ok, ripetami un'altra volta, scusa.
No, tranquilla, stai tranquilla. Allora, che è così importante purificare tutti gli strumenti che la natura ci ha messo a disposizione per poter capire queste cose così sottili.
Ok, la prossima volta mi fai la frase a metà, perché io dimentico, cioè proprio dimentico. It is very important to purify all the instruments we've got to be able to explain these things so correctly.
Perché altrimenti ci sbagliamo e ci identifichiamo in alcune cose.
Because otherwise we make mistakes and we identify in different things. The wrong things.
E ci confondiamo e per esempio diciamo delle cose sbagliate.
Maybe we say then also the wrong things.
Guardo il mio corpo e dico il mio corpo.
I look at my body and I say my body.
Ma sto affermando una cosa assolutamente non giusta.
But in this moment I say something which is not true.
Perché il mio corpo non è il mio corpo. Se fosse mio, quando me ne vado da questo mondo, lo porterei con me.
It's wrong because if it was really my body, I would take it with me when I die.
Il mio corpo è importante, ma non è mio. E se capisco questo, mi focalizzo sulle cose importanti.
My body is not my... vedi, devi farmi le frasi.
Tranquilla,
Scusa,
il mio corpo è importante.
My body is very important.
Ma non è la cosa più importante.
But it's not the most important thing.
Pensiamo a veramente, quando io dico chi sono io.
For instance, when I ask myself, who am I?
Io sono quel qualche cosa che se ne andrà senza il corpo.
Then it's this part of me that goes without the body.
Quella è l'unica vera realtà.
This is the only reality, the real reality, so to say.
Solo questo volevo dire, grazie.
That's the only thing I wanted to tell you. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji. With a very apt example, Easy to understand, you explained it. Any other questions? We have left with 8 minutes.
May I ask another one?
Yes, sure.
Sorry to take time. I wanted to understand about, they say when you take a bathe in the Ganga, that all your sins are washed away. Now, if I were to die in the Ganga, or with Ganga Jal sprinkled on me, does that mean that I have a clean slate?
When you take take bath in Ganga, it is said that all your sins goes away. Ganga represents eternal knowledge flow of rishis. Ganga is originated from those lands where Upanishads were born, where Vedas were born. So, if you, with conscious desire to elevate, take bath in such a holy place, those energies can revive you. And when it comes that it is said that it takes all your sins away, there is a possibility of a new birth in you. But whether that possibility will unfold or not will depend on purity of your intentions. With a wrong intention, if you take bath in Ganga, nothing will happen. With the right intention, if you take bath in your own shower, you will be enlightened. So the most important point here is the purity of intentions. But then why Ganga only? Because it is born in those lands where one of the highest wisdoms of mankind is originated. So it is coming from there. So this is one reason. Second is, when you breathe, your breath and mind is very much connected. Fine. So people who live at the higher planes, they have to breathe deep. And you see that hilly people who live at hills, they generally have peaceful mind. Because when you breathe deep, your mind also slows down. Fine. So it is a way of telling and inviting people to come near the banks of a holy river, take bath with a soulful intention in those areas where spiritual vibrations are there, so that we can unlock our potential. So this is the way of saying it. But with wrong intentions, even if 1,000 times you take bath in that, nothing will happen. Have I answered you?
Yes, thank you very much.
All civilizations, in fact, were born at the banks of rivers. Water really have memory in it. Water have purification ability in it. It purifies. Our body itself is made of 70% water. So when you sit next to what is you, we are water and that is also water. But that water is coming from the purest places. So maybe the water in you can connect unconsciously with the purity of that water. You just take a shower and you feel fresh. Imagine you are taking bath in one of the holiest river of the world. Certainly it will elevate you to the higher, provided you are prepared for it. When the student in us is ready, master appears. So it's like that. We are left with 3 minutes. Any other questions, thoughts, opinions, suggestions? We are doing experiments. This time we did an experiment with PPTs. So would like to know from you only, is this better through PPT or that is better without PPT? Let me now ask questions. Madam Kubuk.
Yes,
Yes, namaste.
it's better. It's perfect.
Yeah, with PPT is better, is it?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Okay, okay, okay.
Very clear.
Okay, it is relatively more clear. Okay, got it, got it. So anybody else? Adrian, what is more clear, with PPT or without PPT? Which is better?
I found the PowerPoint very much more clear, and so much more so that I didn't need to do my mind maps as usual. So,
Okay.
excellent.
So I took away your creativity.
I still did something in the background, but it's not as good as yours. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect, friends. So as the time is about 1.5 minutes are left, anybody else who wants to say anything, share anything, you're welcome. And next session will be the 6th session in the series. We will continue with the story, beautiful story of Mahabharata. And probably Swamiji will take us to the court of Dhritarashtra once again for some difficult moments in Mahabharata. And I will take you to a journey of Jnana Yoga. So next time we'll discuss Jnana Yoga, and the further story continue is the story with Mahabharata. Thank you. Thank you very much, Baba Adnanji. Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you very much, Kailashji. Thank you very much, Swamiji. We are really honored and blessed whenever you come. Thank you, Kubuk Madam. Thank you, Meeraji, Annapurnaji. At least with less number of people, I can take names. Thank you, Titiksha. Thank you, Vasu. Thank you, Amy Ji. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Deepa. Thank you, Prema. Thank you, Tarja. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Banuji. Thank you, Madhulika Ji. Thank you, Amy Ji. Thank you, Namita Ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vikranji. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you, Swamiji. Namaste.